My name is Leroy Newbold. I'm a steering committee member of Black Lives Matter Toronto, and I'm a teacher at the Afrocentric Alternative School in the TDSB. I started organizing with Black Lives Matter about 2 years ago, and a lot of us came to the work for reasons that are very personal in terms of our own experiences with police violence and state violence. I came to it wanting to work on those issues, but also wanting to improve the quality of life for Black people. I also came to it because of my work in education and wanting to improve the quality of education for Black kids here. I'm the founder of Black Lives Matter Freedom School, and so that's one of the most important projects to me of Black Lives Matter. In terms of concrete changes that I've seen through Black Lives Matter's Toronto's work, there have been some changes policy-wise with policing. This year, the Special Investigations Unit, which is the unit that's in charge of reviewing cases where police act with excessive force or where police kill members of community, they released their first report to the public that they've ever released, which was for the case of Andrew Loku. So it's making some changes in terms of police accountability in Canada. In the United States, these are things that always happen. When there's police murder, you always find out the names of the officers, you always have reports released, but in Canada, we don't yet. So those are some of the tangible changes. I think that Black Lives Matter has also opened up a space for radical Black organizing in a different way that has explicitly or very vocally queer and trans leadership. The work that I do with community organizing and the work that I do in my classroom is very parallel. The issues that I work on with Black Lives Matter, my children talk about. We talk about things that they're hearing about and experiencing in terms of community policing, their reactions to what they see in the news. We talk about strategies for resistance, things that they believe should change and things that they want to change. We talk about them as having personal power and political power and being able to participate in the movement. For me, I hope that it lets them imagine themselves as powerful. When I was growing up, I was always taught that if you want to change something, you should work yourself up to a position of power. And then in that way, you can enact change. I think as Black people in Canada, it's not always realistic, and it's not always possible to wait till you get to that point. The state that we're in as Black people in Canada is a state of urgency, I believe. And I think it's important for kids to know that they have power now, even as children, that they can analyze media, that they can resist as well. I noticed that kids are very motivated by justice. So even how kids talk about things being not fair. My kids have done political actions in the past. Last year, or a couple of years ago, when the Enbridge pipeline was being built, they learned about the Enbridge pipeline and the fact that it was going through many of their communities and many Black communities in Toronto. And they decided that they wanted to do a protest outside of the Afrocentric School. They contacted media and they did that action. And they learned lots of different chants, but mainly they just kept repeating, "Shame on Enbridge, shame on Enbridge." In Freedom School this summer, the children organized their own action as well. They learned about Mutulu Shakur, who was somebody who did acupuncture during the Black Liberation Movement and used acupuncture as a way of improving health and quality of life for his community in New York. They learned about him and the fact that he's incarcerated. They really wanted to do an action to respond to that, so they had their own action in front of the US consulate. They booked all the accessibility, the ASL, the food. They made sure that tokens would be provided for people, and they learned strategies for how to react and organize. I think that it lets them see that they can participate not only vis-a-vis electoral politics, but that community organizing works and that you can get responses that way. They had responses from media when they've done actions. At times my class has written to political prisoners, and they've always gotten responses. So I think that it teaches them that they can engage and that they can be on a level with adults in terms of being able to articulate themselves and engage. With Black Lives Matter Freedom School, we were really inspired to do it by the Black Panther Party's school, the Oakland Community School. The Oakland Community School was part of a 28-point platform that was called the Survival Program. So the purpose of it was to provide services to the Black community for free that would allow them to free up their time to focus on other things. So they had the school, they had a free breakfast program, they had programs where people could get clothing and shoes for free. And Freedom School is similar. The program was free. We provided food and busing, and the idea was that parents will have more time to focus on participating in the movement or participating in political activities. And many of the parents who have children in Freedom School become involved in the movement, Black Lives Matter. The Afrocentric School is a pilot project that's demonstrating that failure of Black children within the Toronto District School Board isn't a cultural issue. It's not a cultural deficit issue or anything to do with children and their families. It is a pedagogical issue. So the Afrocentric School is intended to demonstrate that using different kinds of pedagogy, using curriculum that the kids can relate to, that engages them, will have an impact on their success, whether they're successful. And it has demonstrated that Black kids can be successful. Teaching kids to organize allows them to demand a better education system, and it allows them to look critically at education. Our students have connected to kids in Attawapiskat and kids in First Nation school, and they've drawn a lot of parallels between issues with different communities and education. We encourage them to reflect on whether their experiences are fair and whether their experiences are positive and what they didn't like about being in part of a certain classroom or school and what they would like to see change. One, feel what you're feeling, dream of other possibilities, connect with other people in your community around issues that are important to you, strategize and act. And I think that for people who want to work in solidarity or want to work as allies, the steps are a lot to do with listening and challenging yourself and challenging your assumptions, interrogating your own belief systems. Don't underestimate your students and underestimate children. They're capable of complex thought, they're capable of critical engagement, they're powerful. Take the time to know your community, know the community that you work in, to understand the educational experiences of parents in that community and how it's going to impact your teaching and the students' learning. Understanding the context of parents and children in your community and adjusting yourself to that as an educator can help you increase engagement and make connections. People know their own communities best. They've grown up in their communities, they've resisted in their communities, they've organized in their communities, and less talking, more listening. Amplify the voices that are directly affected by issues and support them with the resources. And I think that just talking to people and learning about histories of the many ways that we've been connected goes a long way in terms of solidarity building.